The Cheating Death Podcast is a comedy podcast providing objective information about anything and everything under the sun. We are not left, we are not right, we are not religious, nor are we political, nor are we center-leaning in any way, shape, or form. We are an entity providing you with the information needed to provide your brain the chance to make a choice. Listener discretion is advised. On today's episode of the Cheating Death Podcast, we discuss the Bellevue Hospital in New York City, a transformative facility that began as an asylum for the mentally ill, later branching out into assistance for alcoholic individuals, and currently functioning as a homeless shelter with some psychiatric care facilities still functioning within its walls. We provide you with an all-new Annihilation Announcement, an all-new joke of the episode, our top 5 current favorite cheeses, and we, of course, dear listener, provide you with an opportunity to leave your questions, your feedback, your comments, for in the coming weeks, months, there will be a new mailbag section of the episode. We encourage you to comment, like, share, and subscribe on the YouTube. Leave us an email at thecheatingdeathpodcast@gmail.com and have your voice heard. So you know what to do, dear listener. Grab a coffee, put your feet up, grab a blanket, and let us tell you how you can cheat death. This is your news anchor, the Cleric of Chaos, and this is your Annihilation Announcement. We look toward the sun for answers when the ocean lacks any response to our query. Over the course of time, things tend to move quicker as we perceive them. We capture moments very briefly, but do we ever really fully appreciate them? Do we ever take time to really understand, grasp, or value what we have or who we have? Do we savor the taste of that steak or of that snack an extra second? Or do we just assume more is going to come? Do we look at flowers and roses and identify them as objects of beauty and organisms of importance? Or do we merely treat them as background textures in our Skyrim-laden life? No, dear listener, it is imperative that we do everything we can to focus and to appreciate everything that comes our way, the good, the bad, the everything in between, because without either, we would not know the value of happiness, the value of joy, the value of a good time. This has been your news anchor, the Cleric of Chaos, and this is your Annihilation Announcement. Willkommen, meine Freunde. Guten Morgen, guten Tag und eine gute Nacht. Ist deine Reisende, deine Ausländer, deine Schauspieler, Vernichter und Allesfresser. Bist du traurig, ist, hm? Du ganz allein. Komm mit mir. Today, dear listeners, we take a quick explorative view into one of New York City's most famous and most important medical facilities. Yes, dear listeners, we are taking a trip down to New York City's Bellevue Hospital. For you see, Bellevue Hospital began in 1736 as a facility to assist those in whom were no longer mentally fit to work within the colonies, to assist in building the structures in society that were needed. For this was back during a time when Amsterdam was still very much so a part of Manhattan and a part of New York proper, and it wasn't until the late 1770s and the late 1780s that it would yield full control to that of the American colonialists. We look at the 1730s as being a time of great exploration, of ideological conquest and indoctrination among pioneers, of those in whom wish to explore in the name of conquest of the mother and fatherlands respectively. Well, dear listener, we look at Bellevue Hospital as being an example of this, for not only is it one of the absolute oldest facilities in New York City itself, but, dear listener, it is also the oldest public hospital in the entirety of the United States of America, although its capabilities upon its opening in 1736 were rudimentary at best and boilerplate at worst. It is to be noted that it is the very first public hospital of any kind in the United States of America to not only do what it possibly could to assist with physiological injuries, but to also do what they could to explore mental health, maladies, melancholy, and each and everything in between, so much so that the staff and administration over the course of several decades felt that they were doing a good enough job that they opened their first formal psychiatric ward 143 years later in 1879, and its first alcoholic ward approximately, give or take, about 14 years later in 1892. We take into consideration what is considered an alcoholic ward or what is considered a mental health hospital, and today these facilities are known as addiction and mental health rehabilitative facilities. For you see, Bellevue Hospital and other asylums like it in the United States and in North America proper in the 1700s and 1800s had a very, very basic understanding of the most egregious of physiological and psychiatric maladies, and this is also a time when psychiatrists and psychologists were not even remotely aware of how the brain functioned, of how people behaved, and how it created and caused people to function in different ways, in different cultures, and in different forms of types of communication when one is feeling in a particular type of way emotionally. This type of research, study, behavior to analyze and to identify took decades, centuries, and we as a species are still not even remotely close to figuring out the brain, the consciousness, and everything in between. But what Bellevue Hospital failed to realize upon the formal opening of their psychiatric ward in 1879 is that the individuals they hire may very well be just as harmed, as hurt, and as hindered as those in whom were in their walls for their own rehabilitative purposes. Yes, for it was rife with authority overreaching. Anyone in whom was deemed insubordinate was tortured for days, utilizing very archaic forms of water torture, of vocal torture, and of course, who could ever possibly forget the burning torture of being kept awake for days and days at a time as your eyelids yearn for sweet release, only for it not to come. Yes, this treatment was not only limited to those who were mentally ill, but was also inflicted upon the alcoholics in whom were under their walls, for there was a time when there were more patients than what the facility could handle. A story as old as time, people sending their old relatives, their elders, their family they no longer wished to care for, all because they had a little bit too much to drink every now and then, became an epidemic of sorts. Bellevue Hospital took every step necessary to try and be a pioneer in the industry, but ultimately, by the time the asylum system shut down in the 1980s and 1990s, Bellevue Hospital was a mere shell of its former self, currently functioning in 2000 and beyond as a homeless facility with minor psychiatric assistant facilities still within its walls. What are your thoughts on Bellevue Hospital, dear listener? Do you feel that the staff and administration could have done a bit more to take care of their patients? Or do you feel that, it was the time, be grateful they had a roof over their heads? Let your comments and your feelings be known in the comments below. Until the next time, dear listener, take care of yourselves and each other. Today's joke has been brought to you by the Cleric of Chaos. We attended a funeral for a good friend, and the reveal of the tombstone had the family in shock, awe, and disgust, as it was revealed that there were several misspellings upon the epitaph. We all looked at each other, and one looked at one of the funeral home procession individuals and spoke very sternly. "Whoever has made this spelling mistake has indeed made a grave error." At the top of the program, we promised you a list of our top 5 favorite cheeses. So, without further holes in this list, let us dive right in. Coming in at number 5, the holier-than-thou cheese, the Swiss delicious cheese. Ever so lovely on both sandwiches and burgers. Number 5 is sure to help you thrive. Coming in at number 4, we of course have mozzarella, a famous staple point on many items. Coming in at number 3, we have good old-fashioned sharp cheddar. Coming in at number 2, we have Havarti, and coming in at number 1, we have provolone. What are your top favorite cheeses? Comment below on the YouTubes, or email us at thecheatingdeathpodcast@gmail.com. New York City has a long and storied history of numerous elements, whether it be pop culture related, health related, industry, finance, art, architecture at its finest. We look towards New York City as a staple, a microcosm of America. But what a lot of people aren't aware of New York City is that it harbors many secrets that will take thousands upon thousands of years to eventually uncover. We understand that Bellevue Hospital may have been a pioneer in the treatment of individuals who are suffering from various afflictions, but they are not without their sins. Individuals in whom took it upon themselves to be judge, jury, and executioner, to the most vulnerable, should always be held accountable. Thank you for tuning in today. Take care of yourselves and each other. The Cheating Death Podcast is brought to you by Nacht and Leben CRDVC, Cleric of Chaos, and where you may find all podcasts on all platforms. We'd like to thank Hunter Collins and Ransom for their recent support to the Buy Me a Coffee Fund, as well as Carol to her recent support to our Injury Support Fund. If you would like to support the program, you may do so with the links in the episode's description. If you'd like to support and follow our friends of the program, follow the links in the episode's description and podcast description as well, and follow us over at YouTube at youtube.com/@clericalchaos and youtube.com/@weallcheatdeath. Like, share, comment, and subscribe on the content. We are including a mailbag portion of the program in the coming months, so send your questions to thecheatingdeathpodcast@gmail.com. If you or anyone you know are experiencing psychiatric duress or any sort of emergency situation, please contact the telephone numbers listed in the episodes and podcast's description. If you are looking at adopting a playful puppy or a cute kitten, please visit your local animal adoption rescue center. And dear listener, your life is arduous. It is a tree with many branches and leaves and directions. Sometimes a branch may snap, but that does not necessarily mean a new one is not growing beneath it. Remember, we're pulling for you. We're all in this together.